What's up, everybody? Tech Trucker here, and today I've got a diorama tutorial. It's been a while, eh? But I had one of you guys had commented on an older video of mine, the one with the New York brownstone apartment building, and they asked how I made these little pieces that were basically they went up to the roof line and were put up there. Um, I'll pop a picture up here to show you what I'm talking about. But they were asking, how did I make these? So I thought, hey, you know what? Somebody's actually asking how I did something. We might as well do a tutorial on how I did it. So let me get the camera set up and I'll show you how I did it. Alrighty, so first things first, you're probably going to want to have some sort of a ruler of some sort. You're going to want to have a Sharpie and a regular sanding block of some sort. And then I just cut a piece of, basically this is just the closet hanger dowel. And I just cut that to a shorter piece. I did sand some of the edges, not very nicely, just so that it wouldn't catch as much, so it wasn't such a sharp edge like this. It did and didn't really help that much, but that's what I did. And then some sort of a knife, if it's a utility knife. I use a utility knife because that's what I've got. Most people will use a X-Acto knife. But basically, then you need your piece of foam. So depending on what scale you're working with, I'm I'm not going to cut this to exactly the right size, but these little pieces came from a 1 inch by 1 inch piece of foam. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to sand out a curve into it. Now this one didn't turn out very good because it kind of tore. But basically I made a really long length and I didn't need nearly as much as I thought. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how I did that. All right, so basically what I did is I determined just how wide I wanted this top part. Let's throw some light on that. How wide I wanted the top part and this bottom part right here. So then I measured that, and it looks like it happened to be roughly, more often than not, I do this in millimeters now, about 5 millimeters. So essentially what you're going to do is, and since I've already got a piece, it's pretty easy. I can go ahead and mark it right at the top, but you'd measure out just how wide you're going to want this. Oh, can't see. I just marked it. You can see there's a little mark. And then I took my straight edge so that I can have a nice straight edge. And we're just going to draw this guideline all the way across, like so. And then again on this side. And you can just eyeball this if you want. For the most part, I kind of do, but I figured I would try not to just eyeball it. Since I do have an existing one already, sometimes it's helpful to just go ahead and draw a line right here to show my curve. You don't have to, but I like to do that. It's kind of helpful. Cool. So now what I can do is I could start sanding. To speed it up a little bit, I'm just going to go ahead and slice some of this material off with my utility knife, because there's no point in sanding all of this when I could just cut some of it off. That's why these guidelines are helpful, so that you know just how far to go ahead and cut without negatively affecting. Oh, this blade is really dull. See if this side's a little better. Okay. Obviously, the closer you get to your guidelines, the less you're going to have to sand. And overall, the less work you're going to have to do. Which is always a good thing, right? Now, it's really not that important to get this, you know, nice and clean right off the bat. It really isn't that, it's not that big of a deal, because when you sand it, you're obviously going to bring that down. But basically, I brought this down. My blade was extraordinarily dull, which I don't really recommend. But then you're going to take, and I don't remember if I mentioned, you're going to need, to begin with, I like to use 120 grit. Clearly, you're going to want to get down to a much smaller or a finer grit as you are finishing the piece. But basically, I just cut this to about the size of my dowel and work to try and center myself as much as possible. It's gonna be a pretty rough sand to begin with. So here's the other thing that you could do. If you've got a drill with like a drum sander, you could certainly do that. The issue is you'd have to do it in much smaller pieces because your drum is only so long and it's going to get in the way. So basically, and you know, you're going to want to try to keep you're going to want to try and keep this to the center so that it's not getting all wonky. But just gently sand as you go. Check your guidelines from time to time. Now, one thing that you do need to be very careful of is that these edges don't catch and start tearing it away. Otherwise, it's going to look, you know, I mean, it could give that weathered look, but if you're looking for perfection, then you need to keep track of it. Go slow and be very careful about how much pressure you put onto the sanding block. Don't go too fast. Yep, see, I went and caught it just a little bit. Luckily, as long as that's not your last pass, you can usually sand that out, like so. But that's why going fast oftentimes is not going to serve you well at all. Patience is key with any of these types of things. Alrighty, so there you go. This is pretty darn close to what I would consider being ready. And basically then, you know, your piece, depending on how much extra space or how much extra material you need, you're basically ready to go ahead and you're going to measure out however deep you want these or however wide you want them. Because I don't actually need any more of these, I'm just going to go ahead and cut one. But basically, you just slice this off. Oh wow, this blade is terrible. Ooh, get yourself a good blade, a nice blade. And then once you've got that, you're probably going to want to, sand this a little bit. Clean up that edge. But now you've got a nice corner piece that you can use, and basically it just we'll pretend that this is the roof ledge, and you're just going to mount that right there. Jeez, why can't I find where the camera is at? You're gonna mount that right in, and you're good to go, and you've got a nice rounded accent piece that if you do, 15, 20 of them, you just line them up and you're good to go. It's really, really simple. Very, very simple to be able to do this rounded look. So I hope this was helpful, folks. If it was, let me know in the comments. You know what? If it wasn't, let me know in the comments. If there's anything else that you've seen that I've done that you want me to do a tutorial on, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to post up a video. Alright, until next time, I'll see you guys later. Alrighty folks, I hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't already done so, click the subscribe button. Check out some of my other videos. You can see them right up here and down here. Also, check out the featured video that I've got here. Every single video I'm going to feature someone else's video, somebody who has a channel, either it's an up-and-comer like myself or somebody who's an old pro. Whatever it is, it's going to be awesome, so make sure you go check it out, like their content, subscribe to their channel, and until next time, I'll see you later.
Textures Brain Blast.